The Qadiriyya Sadqab Sufi Order, a new episode, dear audience. I'm so happy welcoming you in this new episode in which we would like to cover another important Qadiri branch of the Sudanese Qadiriyya. I mean here the Sadqab Sufi Order. However, after we have presented two episodes covering the arrival and the contributions of the Qadiris in Sudan, represented in the Mukashfiya Sufi Order, in addition to the Arakiyun Center, here it is our time to knock on the door of the first and earliest branch of the Qadiriyya to spread widely in the country, and that is the Qadiriyya Sadqab. However, the contributions that had been led by Sufis made Sudanese to accept, and at the same time made Sufism itself to gain widespread acceptance. That is because Sudanese Sufis had contributed so positively in terms of the religious, social, educational efforts that have been led by the earliest Sufis, I mean here the earliest Sudanese Sufis, to the present time. However, and as we have presented in our episodes that covered the arrival and the advent of Sufism into Sudan, we have stated that there are two stages in which Sufism has spread in the country. The first one, as had been expressed in the Sufi Brotherhood in Sudan by Dr. Ali Saleh Karrar, that these two stages represented in what is called pre-Tariqa stage and the Tariqa stage. Concerning the pre-Tariqa stage, just here the efforts have been led individually. I mean, individual Sufis had came to the country and in a way of personal efforts, they have brought the seed and the notion of Sufism itself into the new environment. I mean here, the new environment by my saying, I mean, by their coming to Sudan, they brought with them the seed of the Sufi doctrine into the Sudan, mainly during Fong Sultanate. The other stage is that one, the Tariqa stage, and also here we have presented an episode which covered the arrival of the Qadiriyya and the Shazaliyya. So our discussion goes online with the arrival of the Qadiriyya, as we have started earlier in our coverage to two important Qadiri centers, the Mukashfiya and the Arakiyin. Here I would like once again to repeat the idea that my discussion this time will go on to cover the arrival and the spread, at the same time the contribution that had been led by the Sadqab Qadiri Sufi branch. And in this concern, I would like to remind you, dear audience, that the Sadqab Sufi Order is the first Qadiri branch to spread into the country, as we are going to see in the story of the founder, Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim ibn Abdul Sadiq. So, about the Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq family and lineage, I would like to say that he is a Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Sadiq ibn Malik ibn Hashir ibn Rikab ibn Ghulamullah Aid al-Rikabi, the first scholar to arrive into Fong Sultanate so as to disseminate the teachings of Islam. However, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Sadiq, in his father lineage side, he belongs to the family of a Sheikh Ghulamullah Aid al-Rikabi, while from his mother's side, his mother is Sayyida Makkah bint al-Sharif Hamad Abu Dunnana. However, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Sadiq is belonged to two influential scholarly families that have come to form the true nature of the Sudanese Islam. Here I'm referring to the personality of Sheikh Ghulamullah Aid al-Rikabi, influential noted scholar, and Sheikh Hamad Abu Dannana. So the Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq belongs to these two scholarly families. However, Sheikh Abdul Sadiq, his father, also is a scholar, and he was a scholar of the Arbaji, and in that particular area, here in Arbaji, he taught monotheism and religion. So Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Sadiq had grown up in a home of faith, honor, and morality. He developed a sincere desire for knowledge of his Lord from an early time of his age. So if we return back to give slide notes about his two grandfather, here Sheikh Ghulamullah Aid al-Rikabi and Sheikh Hamad Abu Dunnana, we may come to state that through the efforts of Sheikh Ghulamullah Aid al-Rikabi, the people of Dongola and its surrounding areas voluntarily converted to Islam. However, Sheikh Ghulamullah Aid al-Rikabi established his mosque close to the old Dongola church, and as a result, he had two sons. So he married and then he has two sons. The first one is the Sayyid Rikab, the grandfather of the Rikabiyya, and the second one is the Sayyid Rabat. Based on their names, Rikab and Rabat, we can deduce that these men behaved in a manner similar to that of their ancestors. Behaving in a manner similar to that of their ancestors, riding horses, participating in jihad, and stationing for the sake of God Almighty. So what we have stated is just concerning Sheikh Ghulamullah Aid al-Rikabi. About his second grandfather, Sharif Hamad Abu Dannana, we may come to say Sharif Hamad Abu Dannana journey to the northern Sudan was authorized in Tasawwuf by his Sheikh Ahmad Zarruq al-Fasi. So Sharif Hamad Abu Dannana, by the way, he is a student of the noted scholar, the Sufi Sheikh Ahmad Zarruq, the writer of the fundamentals or the rules of Sufism, what is known as قواعد التصوف. So Sharif Hamad Abu Dannana is a student of Sheikh Ahmad Zarruq al-Fasi, and by the way, Sheikh Ahmad Zarruq had debuted his student Sharif Hamad Abu Dannana to went to Sudan, and here I would like to say he came as an authorized Sufi to spread the teachings of the Shaziliya Sufi order. So he came to Sudan so as to spread the teachings of the Shaziliya Sufi order. However, he came to Sudan with his wife, Sayyida Khadija, who is the daughter of Sheikh Muhammad Sulaiman al-Juzuli. And Sheikh Muhammad Sulaiman al-Juzuli, as we know, he is the writer of the famous book of Dalail al-Khairat, a book that devoted to present the blessing and the qualities, Shamail, the excellent qualities of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he Sharif Hamad Abu Durnana came to Sudan with his wife, As-Sayyida Khadija, the daughter of Sheikh Muhammad Sulaiman al-Jazuli. In turn, Sharif Hamad Abu Durnanas, by the way, with this thing, he had been given 7 daughters and 1 son. And those offspring, the offspring of Sharif Hamad Abu Durnana, mainly his daughters, had been given righteous individuals who propagated religion and righteousness across Sudan. And among those 7 daughters, we have Sayyida Makkah, the mother of Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim ibn Abdul Sadiq. According to some accounts, Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq was born in 1547 AD. In 1547 AD, and was no more than 20 years when he first encountered Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari. However, I would like here to point out to the idea that Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq was the first Sudanese to be initiated into Qadiriyya under Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari. So before the coming of Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari to Sudan in order to spread and disseminate the Qadiriyya, concerning our personality, Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq, and out of the background about his family, we have been found ourselves in a position to say that Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq, with that great growing up, he has an idea about what Sufism means, what the true religion means. So because of this, and as we are going to quote from some writers here, we say that he was not more than 20 years when he first encountered Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari. Even though Sheikh al-Buhari was the one who started and developed Sufism in the Sudan, we can say that Al-Hamim, Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq, has strong ties to the religion because he descended from the family of that noble, righteous family. I mean here, the two families, the families of Sheikh Aid al-Rikabi, Sheikh Ghulamullah Aid al-Rikabi from his father's side, and Sharif Hamad Abu Durnana from his mother's side. However, they have stated this background, by the way, and these elements must have played a part in fostering the preparedness that allowed Al-Hamim to identify with the Sheikh al-Buhari as soon as he met him and heard his speech of Sufism, his Sufi Sanad. By the way that that Sheikh al-Hamim had initiated into Sufism under Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari is a unique story, and in the Sudanese Sufi culture it's known as taking the path through the slaughter of the ego. So here we would like just to give some notes about the notion and the understanding of the idea of slaughtering the ego according to Sufis. And by the way, this leads us to speak about the ego in Sufism in general. An important concept in Sufism is the ego or the nafs. The ego is a part of our psyche that constantly lead us off the spiritual path, a part of the self which commands us to do evil. The Sufis say, if man is oppressing his own soul, he can only be free when the ego is crushed. Then no evil can be created. nor any devil followed. Only truth can be seen. Man must not worry or be hopeless of Allah's mercy. The Holy Quran therefore prescribes, kill yourselves, اغتلوا أنفسكم. For more information in this particular area, I would like referring you to Sufi Path of Love website for more information in this area. So ego is the most important part of the human for Sufis. That is because it is considered to be the veil between one and God. The Prophet ﷺ also referred to as a nafs, as one worst enemy. In that tradition, the worst enemy is your soul between your side. So according to Sufis, the ego is what poisons the heart, and that it is the cause of the heart illness. Hence, the purification, tazkiyah, according to Sufis, would require two things: getting rid of the ego and resolving its effect on the heart. According to Ibn Arabi, the noted Sufi, according to him, in the interpretation of the verse, recall when Moses said to his people, indeed, Allah commands you to slaughter a cow. Inna Allah ya'murukum an tasbahu baqara. According to Ibn Arabi, what is meant by the cow here is the bestial soul, and using a spiritual training. So what come to solve the problem here, the slaughtering of the cow, which symbolize the soul according to Ibn Arabi and Sufis in general, using a spiritual training knife to kill and suppress its passions and prevents it from acting on its own desire. Maulana Sheikh Nazim al-Haqqani, the famous and noted Naqshbandi Sheikh and guide, said the only way back to him, to Allah, is by training or riding the ego. You can't take a plane, ship or car. You have to ride the ego to come to the divine presence. When we ride the ego to divine presence, what do? We leave the ego behind. We sacrifice it. The blood has to come out, like when we sacrifice an animal and blood gushes out. The blood of the ego is desire. The blood of the ego is desire. Hawa. Our desires, even hoping to reach paradise, is a desire. It lives and moves by desire. According to Haqqani, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an animal and has shown us how to tame it. He gave us a wild horse that kicks, fights, and does not obey. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left us in this land. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the soul and ego to the body. Then he said, I have given you a wild creature. Tame it and come back to me. At the end of the way, when we are treading the road of sainthood with our shuyukh, we have to let go of our desires and of thinking. I am in the divine presence. I want more knowledge. I want more honor. I want more status. I want. That has to stop. We have to let go of all our desires, good and bad, like to be in the presence or in the divine presence or for more honor and status. That is when you slaughter the ego and drain the blood of vain desires, the lusts of the ego, but that desire is a vehicle that takes us there, because if the ego has no goal, it does not move. When we read the divine presence as told by our teachers and grand shuyukh, we must leave desire and slaughter it. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ Surah Al-Saffat, verse 107. We ransomed him with a tremendous sacrifice. When Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam wanted to sacrifice his son and he passed the test, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we have given him a big sacrifice to give. Why do we sacrifice animals in Mecca? The other day we were talking about going to Mecca, seeking the divine presence to meet Allah. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالْبُدْنَ جَعَلْنَاهَا لَكُمْ مِنْ شَعَائِرِ اللَّهِ لَكُمْ فِيهَا خَيْرٌ فاذكروا اسم الله عليها صواف فإذا وجبت جنوبها فكلوا منها وأطعموا القانع والمعتر كذلك سخرناها لكم لعلكم تشكرون. The sacrificial camels we have made for you as among the simples from Allah. In them is much good for you, so pronounce the name of Allah over them as they line up for sacrifice, and when they are down on their sides after slaughter, eat them and feed those who live in contentment and those who beg with you humility. Thus have we made animals subject to you, that you may be grateful. So these sacrificial animals are our egos. When we direct ourselves to Mecca, to divine presence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants our egos goodness, happiness and pleasure, and He made the Kaaba as the symbol to move. Because when your ego is moving toward the divine presence, it is shedding bad manners, الرذائل, and acquiring good manners, الفضائل. Then these egos become honored and pious, symbols of Allah's blessing and favors. When our egos acquire good manners and keep on the way of our senates and shuyukh, like Sayyidina Bayezid al-Bustami radiallahu anhu was told, the ego nafs has to be left behind to be slaughtered and drained of the blood. And the blood here, the blood of the ego is the desires. For more information in this particular area, I would like referring you to the website of SufiLife.com as part of the Naqshbandiya Sufi Order websites. So in this particular context, I would like here to see what the solution according to Sufis, since the ego with its own desire is an obstacle that stands on the way of the progress and the development of the human back into his Lord. What is the solution? According to Sufis, the solution is with the association and companionship with the shuyukh. That is because the shuyukh taught the person how to catch out the ego and to tame it, how to tame the souls. So the companionship of the righteous, the association with them, is one of important solution to the taming of the souls. Based on the companionship and the association with the guides, the spiritual guides, the Sufis, here is the application of the doctrine that had been followed by our figure. Here, our Shaykh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq. So in this regard, I would like here just to point out to three narrations concerning the initiation of Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq under Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari, which they have stated, followed the way of the taken the pledge through, or the taken the Sufi Bay'ah through the slaughter of the ego. The first source I would like to quote here in this particular area is that one which had been written by Sheikh Muhammad Nur al-Difallah. I'm referring here to his book At-Tabaqat. So in Tabaqat al-Difallah gives a description of the method used by Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari to test the sincerity of his would-be disciples. Al-Buhari, who had come from Baghdad in the 16th century to spread the Qadiriyya Sufi order, invited all who had the desire to enter the order, to enter into the Qadiriyya to a certain place. So he invited them in a certain place so as to be initiated into the Qadiriyya. People flocked to him, asking to be initiated as Sufis. He forthwith erected a closet wherein he hid some rams. He then declared, "I initiate, show the way, and slay. Those who die do so as good believers." Most people were scared. They dispersed. Muhammad, son of Abdul Sadiq, was one of those who stayed. He was young. He took off his shirt, performed his ablution, and prayed 2 rak'ahs. The Sheikh led him inside and killed one of the rams. Blood trickled out, and people thought that it was Muhammad's. Then Sheikh Bannaga, another important individual, Sheikh Bannaga al-Darir, who was an old man, stepped forward. He said, "I am an old ox who has had his fair share of life. I have chosen to meet my God." He likewise prayed 2 rak'ahs before entering. Another ram was slain inside and blood poured out for the people to see. The Sheikh then addressed the people saying, "Come on in, stop invading one another, stop being mothers." Nobody came forward. Then the 2 men emerged, safe and sound. The Sheikh told each one of them to eat his ram's meat, inside which he hid a secret. He gave his prophecy, said, "These 2," pointing to Al-Hamim and Bannaga, "these 2 will lead the land to prosperity." The initiation rites themselves are highly dramatic. Here I'm quoting Dr. Khalid al-Mubarak in his published paper, Theater in the Sudan, from Pre-Islamic Ritual and Islamic Sufi Ritual until Modern Drama and National Theater, published paper 1995, page 92. So al-Mubarak stated, "The initiation rites themselves are highly dramatic. The Sheikh asks his disciples to sit opposite him, knees touching knees. He then repeats words and mimes hand movements. The ceremony ends with him drinking water blessed by the Sheikh. He then wears the colorful Sufi costume. It is not surprising that the Qadiriyya is the most widely spread Sufi order among Muslim Sudanese until now. Another narration came from Khadija Karar in her study Aspects of Sufism in Sudan, published thesis, PhD thesis, 1975, when she stated in her study about the arrival of the Qadiriyya Tariqa and the initiation of the first Sudanese into the order, quoting from the Tabaqat, Khadija writes, Tajuddin al-Bahar arrived in the Sudan after being invited by a Sudanese merchant known as Dawood Abd Jalil. He came by an order from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, may Allah be blessed with him. Al-Buhari settled in Al-Jazira in the central Sudan in a place called Wadi Sha'ir, where he started teaching his tariqa. The way in which he started initiating his followers was a peculiar one. It is said in Al-Tabaqat that he put a number of sheep in a storeroom and told those who wanted to follow him that he would direct and guide them, but would instantly slaughter them so that they die rightful and true believers. The people were terrified by the idea and refused his offer of initiation, except one known as Muhammad ibn Abd al-Sadiq, famous as Al-Hamim, and another one known as Sheikh Ban Maqdarir. Al-Buhari put the two men in a storeroom where he kept the sheep. He initiated them into the Qadiriyya. He slaughtered the sheep and let the blood pass outside the door so that the people could see it. The people thought that he had really slaughtered the men, and when he asked them again to be taught or to be initiated, he asked some other people to be initiated into the tariqa, they refused. Then he asked the two men to come out of the storeroom and asked each one of them to eat from the meat of the sheep slaughtered for him. It was thought that he had put a secret into the meat for the two men. Such was the story of initiation of Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abd al-Sadiq. So following this initiation, by the way, Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abd al-Sadiq had played great role, and I am referring here also to his khulafa and his grandsons after him. They played great role in the spread of Islam in many parts of the country, and at the same time consolidating its teaching. From another side, they also have participated in forming and shaping the Sufi doctrine into the country. So they have the earliest to spread Sufism across the Sudanese soil. However, in order to help the disciples, he believed, Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari believed that he should come to nominate a deputy for him to carry out the order, and at the same time to play the role of spreading its teaching. So before leaving the country, Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari assembled his disciples, those who were initiated under him, and he told his student by his saying, I came from Baghdad for this boy, pointing to Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq, and I left him in my place. So such a phrase, by the way, it should be understood that Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq is the deputy of Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari. In other terms, he represented the soul and he represented the Qadiriyya as Khalifa to its founder and to his deputy. I'm referring here to Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari. So Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq is the deputy of Sheikh Tajuddin al-Buhari upon his departure of the country to his homeland. And about his student, those who have been initiated under him, I'm referring here to Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq. His student and his earlier students were his sons and cousins. In addition to a lot of people in Central and Eastern Sudan. Today there are more than 50 centers. That is referring to it is very establishment to Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq, including taqiyas, khalawis, the Quranic schools, and masjids. In Tabaqat wa Tifallah, one of his students of Sheikh, the student of Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq is Sheikh Salman al-Twali, who was one of his disciples, and his story life is there in the book of Tabaqat. The audience, remind you that I'm presenting the Sadqab Sufi order as an active, earliest Qadiri center in Sudanese soil. So just here I'd like to state parts of Sadqab centers across the country. For example, here I would like to start with Al-Mundara. Mundara, it is east of Rufa'a, has a tomb of Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim, the founder of the order himself, his son Sheikh Ali al-Nil, his grandson Sheikh al-Junaid, and their grandchildren. Another important Sadqab center is that of Suki Sadqab. Suki Sadqab is east of Al-Faw, 80 kilometers from the town. It was founded by Sheikh Ahmad al-Badawi after his father Sheikh al-Tayyib Sheikh al-Daw moved to Albania Sadqab. As Sheikh al-Tayyib Mosque was in the middle of Al-Faw Mountains in Suki, and his son Sheikh Ahmad ordered the establishment of his mosque, which is currently located in Suki Sadqab. Sadqab al-Baniya, a very important, influential Sadqab center. It is in the middle of Al-Faw Mountains, 10 kilometers from Al-Faw. It had the seat of the Caliphate of the Sadqab, and it is foundation back to Sheikh al-Tayyib ibn Sheikh al-Daw. There also is the tomb of Sheikh Ali al-Mirain. Also there we find Sheikh Ahmed, Sheikh Taha, Sheikh Ahmad al-Badawi, Sheikh al-Daw, Sheikh Ali al-Mirain, and some others. Sadqab of al-Hilaliyya, a very important center also, and it is establishment and foundation back to the grandson of Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq. I'm referring here to Sheikh al-Tayyib, Sheikh Ali al-Mirain. As we are going to give short notes about his biography later. After 120 years of preaching the disciples, spreading guidance, following the way of the Qadiri teachings, Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq has passed away, and his grandson and successor carried out the mission after him. Sheikh Ali al-Nil was the first to succeed him, and by the way, Sheikh Ali al-Nil was his son, so he considered the first one to be the Khalifa of the center, and at the same time he assumed the caliphate of the Qadiriyya in the Sudan. Because of his outstanding guidance and his foundation in piety and asceticism, he became known as An-Nil. He followed in the footsteps of his father, Sheikh Muhammad al-Hamim, who guided him and placed him in his proper place in disciple behavior and educations and guidance. Here I'm referring you to Encyclopedia of People of Remembrance in Sudan, Volume 1, 204, page 357. Before I conclude here, I would like to present some notes about a very important Qadiri Sadqab Center. That is the center of Sheikh Al-Tayyib Al-Sha'al Al-Mirain in Al-Hilaliyya. Sheikh Al-Tayyib Al-Sha'al Al-Mirain, 1925-1999. Sheikh Al-Tayyib Al-Mirain was born in the city of Al-Hilaliyya. He received his education at Al-Hilaliyya Primary School. After attending Al-Hilaliyya Primary School, he went to the region of Albania, Sadqab, the homeland of his ancestor, to finish his religious education. There he studied the Holy Quran and its sciences as well as Islamic jurisprudence under the guidance of eminent scholars. He returned to Hilaliyya to carry on the Sufi path of his noble predecessors, continuing the da'wah to Allah. Because of his deep concern and care for the scholars, he provided them a private council inside the masjid. Sheikh Al-Tayyib was initiated into the Qadiri Sadqab under his uncle Sheikh Muhammad, who in turn had taken it from his brother Sheikh Ali Al-Mirain, who had taken it from his brother Sheikh Taha, who had taken the pledge from his father Sheikh Ahmad Al-Badawi. Sheikh Al-Tayyib grew up in the house of knowledge and righteousness, for he is the grandson of the great grandfather Sheikh Ghulam Al-Rikabi and Sheikh Hamad Abu Dannana. In addition to his grandfather Sheikh Muhammad Al-Hamim Abdul Sadiq, Sheikh Al-Tayyib Shah Al-Mirain had played great role in the spread of the Tariqa Qadiriyya, and had, as I have stated, has played a significant role in the spread of the Qadiriyya Tariqa Sadqab branch, and in this concern he had initiated thousands of murid into the Tariqa. He has made numerous contributions to his own society in a variety of areas, such as the establishment of Khalawi, in addition also to the establishment of mosque. And he has great contribution in the field of health and education. He founded the Quranic school Khalwa in 1947, which was a place for thousands of Quran memorization students coming from all over the country. He has authoring books, and yes, I would like to note it to his a book that has been devoted to speak about the abandoning of prayer, and another one including speeches and talks to the son of the order, and this particularly had been published in 1986. Sheikh Al-Tayyib Shah Al-Mirain has passed in 1999 and was succeeded on the carpet of the Tariqa by his son Sheikh Al-Badawi. For more information, I'm referring you to the Encyclopedia of the People Remembrance in Sudan, 2004, Volume 3, page 1166. The current Khalifa in the major center of the Tariqa is the Sheikh Muhammad ibn Sheikh Ali Sheikh Muhammad Sheikh Taha in Albania Sadqab. At the end of this episode, I would like to point out that the Sadqab had been and is still playing the significant and important role in the spreading of guidance, spiritual guidance across the country. And I'm referring here in this area to their great presence in the east and central Sudan. So, as one of the Qadiri branches, the Tariqa is an active Tariqa. I mean, here the branch of the Sadqab is an active branch, played and is still doing the great contribution in the spread of guidance following the teaching of the Qadiri method and doctrine.